My name is Cengiz Shevket. I am the president of the Vehicle Aftermarket Sales in North America for SKF.
Cengiz got his bachelor's degree in mechanical and production engineering. He joined SKF in 1990 as automotive applications engineer and has been with SKF ever since. Cengiz, welcome to the Heavy Duty Parts Report.
Thank you for having me.
So glad to be here. We're at HDAW right now, and this is such a great opportunity for us to come together. The whole industry is here, and it's an exciting time of the year. I actually love this show. It's my favorite of the year. When we are here, though, one of the things that it gives us an opportunity to do as an industry is to talk about the trends. And certainly after COVID, we have seen this strong trend towards onshoring. Could you explain to our audience, for those who might not be familiar, what is that, and why do you think that's so important to bring manufacturing to North America?
Yeah, sure. We went through a phase of globalization maybe 2 decades ago, and that was really cost-driven, chasing lower-cost products, access to global supply chains. And what has happened over the last few years, first, I would say with the tariff wars, and then the pandemic, of course, has shown weaknesses and vulnerability of our global supply chains. And to improve availability and have the product readily in the hands of the people that want to use it, we've moved from globalization back to what we call regionalization.
Okay.
From an SKF perspective, there is one more element. Our company is very focused on sustainability and our carbon footprint.
Right.
That's one more element that us as a company is looking at regionalization, producing where we use the product.
Well, and it makes sense. We saw how vulnerable really the supply chain was during COVID. I think it was more vulnerable than any of us would have ever imagined. And then that also makes a lot of sense to me. If you don't have to sail it halfway around the world and you can produce it more locally, not only is there security there, but to your point, there's less of an emissions contribution in getting the product physically to the North American shores.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
So let's talk about products. We're here at HDAW, Heavy Duty Aftermarket Week. This is a big focus on that side of the business. So what product categories are you really focusing on that you're going to be talking to people out on the show floor?
Yeah, SKF has been supporting the North American heavy duty market for, I would say, about 100 years, right?
So new kids on the block.
New kids on the block. But we are really known as the wheel end guys.
Yeah.
Our first product that was probably used extensively and became a household name was the Scott Seal. It was under the CR, original Chicago Rawhide brand. That was the Scott Seal, and every oil axle had it. But we are a bearing company, and we also have an extensive range of wheel end bearings. And we talked about regionalization. One of the things that we've done very recently is added a very sizable factory in Mexico to make those bearings here in North America for the North American consumption.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah. When I was selling parts, I always remember the seals and the bearings. There was always some other guy that was the go-to brand name, and we see that changing in the market. So explain to us how SKF's solution for wheel end components is really different from the other options available in the market.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is that we are actually the OE today. If you take apart a tractor wheel end, the bearings in there and the seals in there, I would say more than 50% of the market is SKF. So we are the OE guy. SKF is known for highest quality, precision machining, high quality steels, and reliability. So our differentiation is dependability out there. And these trucks on the road really, uptime, reliability, and scheduled maintenance as opposed to unscheduled maintenance are the key things. Yeah. So that's how we differentiate, being that guy.
And so what you're saying is that this aftermarket option for the replacement parts gives people access to an OE quality level product that they can install. Okay, everybody talks about quality. So let's go a little deeper into that. How does using those products translate into not just downtime, but how does it impact the cost of the total cost per mile or the overall total cost of operation?
predictability is a very important thing. If you can schedule in your maintenance intervals without having the unscheduled events, then you can budget for your yearly outgoing. And if your product is reliable, you can actually extend that service interval. So instead of having to repair every year, maybe you can schedule in a repair every 3 years. So quality and dependability and reliability of the products really works out as a both in budgetary reasons, but also the bottom line costs.
Yeah, yeah. And when you talk about that regionalization, one of the things I know about selling in North America is you've got a lot of different geography. There's a lot of different conditions. So we had, unfortunately, us Canadians, we had minus 37 in Northern Alberta last week. It was brutal. You have other parts of the country that in like the summertime, for example, the heat, you have people running in the mountains, you have people running where there's a lot of humidity. So how does the quality that you engineer into the product enable a company to be able to operate in all of these different vocations and these different geographies?
Yeah, one of the benefits of being in the OE side of the community is that we are part of the design process. When the trucks and trailers and other vehicles are being built, they're built for, let's call it 10 years and so many thousand miles on the road. And we design our products for the full range of environment, minus 40 to plus 40 if you want, and different road surfaces or off-road that they're used in. So we know it, we extensively test it, we have our own testing facilities, and we go on fleets, and these are absolutely tested in every environment that they can be in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You've recently developed a product called Trax. Tell me more about that. How does it help the end user reduce their downtime?
Yeah, Trax is a unique product. It is an early warning system, if you like. It is a sensor, and it is a retrofittable sensor, which is you don't have to change any of your architecture in your vehicle. All you have to do is remove a couple of lug nuts, and the Trax sensor will just bolt on, tighten them back to spec, and you're ready to go. We have two of these things. One of them is Bluetooth connectable to telematics on board.
Okay.
So it will relay the vibration and temperature signals from the wheel end all the way to the telematics and to the user interface of a service manager's desk.
Right.
So with that, thousands of miles before a real failure happens, the sensor will tell you the bearing is in a distressed condition, or that there is an abnormal temperature at one wheel end.
Which is an indication of a failure somewhere in the system.
Correct. And if left unattended, they can lead to catastrophic failures.
Yeah.
Right? A bearing failure is a bearing failure, but if a bearing failure is not taken care of, it could be a wheel off. Or a temperature is a temperature, but if it's not taken care of, well, it could be a thermal event. So we are part of the ecosystem to give that early warning to the service manager and ultimately to the driver that there's something going on. You can either schedule your maintenance, or if it's serious and acute, pull over.
Wow.
Right? And we're not new to condition monitoring. SKF has been in there for decades in mostly the industrial market. For mostly fixed assets,
Right.
Like wind turbines.
Much easier, fixed assets, a little bit of an easier thing to monitor than a moving vehicle.
Correct, but we're also on railroad, right? Railways. So we've taken all that knowledge and put it into a bolt-on, plug-and-play system for commercial vehicles. So it gives the ability to act before something serious happens and schedule that maintenance in.
Tell me a story of one of your customers or your end user customers who put this into place and it had a real world impact on their business.
Yeah, we've had a couple of public testimonials, so I have no problem in mentioning at least one name, the pilot Flying J. Yep. They're a tanker fleet, and they were on a pilot phase with us as we were developing the program, and then they took it on to their production phase, and so we are with them in their vehicles, and they have responded to a alert from the track sensor, and when they pulled the part apart, they noticed that the surface of the bearing had started flaking, and again, it was a good indicator for them to repair something that was truly going to fail. And if they hadn't done it, it could have led to more serious consequences, especially on a tanker fleet.
I was just thinking to say a catastrophic failure on a tanker fleet is kind of a worst case scenario on the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one example.
That's one example, right? And then I can imagine as well, just from the preventative maintenance side and that ability to have someone who's monitoring it in real time and just set up that scheduling, that is so important because the utilization is a real issue with fleets. And especially private fleets, they have to be utilizing their equipment at maximum to be profitable. And so to be able to plan that service event in a way that doesn't affect utilization, I think that's a really important component. So I can see fleets really enjoying the access to this new data.
Yeah, fleets, absolutely. And they see the value sometimes more than the OE that's making the vehicle. Because for the OE, it's just a bolt on another part that doesn't affect the basic function of the vehicle.
Right.
But the fleet, he's worried about his bottom line, cost of operation, and keeping that vehicle on the road. And that's where we come in.
Well, this has been so fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and taking some time to talk to us about this. I really appreciate it. And happy selling out there on the show floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. It was great speaking to SKF. If you want to learn more about them, go over to their website, skf.com today.